Hey everyone, I'm so excited about today's episode, but first want to let you know that this show is made possible by Fortune Builders. I also want to take a minute to invite you guys to an amazing opportunity to learn from some of the top experts in the real estate industry about how to get started in real estate or scale an existing business to the next level. Fortune Builders is hosting a one-day webinar to help you learn about real estate investing in today's market. So throughout the show, if you feel like you're ready to get started, go to fortunebuildershow.com to register. Again, that's fortunebuildershow.com to register. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you'll find a link right below the show so you can get there that way as well. And please remember that the content of this show and every show is for educational purposes only. Myself or our guests are not going to be providing any legal, financial, or professional advice. If we share specific results, they are attributed to an individual or a business, and we can't guarantee the results will happen for you, those earnings or the income will match those figures. The bottom line is there's always risk when investing in real estate. You can make a lot of money or you can lose a lot of money, and it's hard work. But that doesn't mean we can't have fun doing it. So let's get into today's episode.
From a team that has $1 billion in real estate investment experience. A show to help you learn the strategies and systems it takes to get started investing in real estate. This is the Fortune Builders Real Estate Investing Show.
Hey everyone, Jeff Rakowski here, and welcome to this week's episode of the Fortune Builders Real Estate Investing Show. I am pumped today because I actually have a powerhouse in the booth here with me today. Actually, one of my personal friends, personal mentors that has built and scaled a $50 million company over the last 16 years. So I'm going to bring him up in a moment. I'm excited for you to meet him. But first, as always, we're going to get to the word of the week. And the word of the week this week is scaling.
Let's go.
And you know, that word, it may or may not mean a lot to you right now, but I promise you by the end of the show, you're going to think that word's pretty sexy and pretty powerful. But a simple definition actually that my guest gave me today was simply enlarging your competency and your capacity to basically build and scale an organization. Wherever you are right now, whether you're looking to launch a business, whether you're doing 10 deals a year, 100 deals a year, there is another level that you can get to, but we have to know how to scale and grow into that. So I'm excited. Let's get into the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Colin Higginbottom.
Let's do this.
So good to have you, man.
So honored, man.
Yeah, man. We just connected last week over a phone call, and I'm like, man, we got to get you in the booth, and you are here, and I'm pumped. But let me give you a little. I know you're not too much on bragging about yourself. Well, maybe you are a little bit, right?
Nah, I'd rather let other people talk about it.
Yeah,
I just like to make sure it's accurate.
All right. Well, you can fact check me as I'm giving you this introduction here, but you own a company called Sustainable Interiors.
Yeah, that's right.
A commercial construction company, outfitting, flooring and apartment buildings, large scale properties. 16 years. In the industry, $50 million a year company.
Yeah.
But you already, right now, as we speak, you have 90 million on the books.
Yeah, in backlog.
Backlog.
And we'll probably do about 70 of that in 2022, and then we're still filling 2023.
Oh,
so
let's go.
It's fun, man.
Let's go. So when are you going to hit 100 million, man?
We're
22?
on, man. That we're scaling. What a perfect. I wish it was as easy as just writing business, Jeff. It's a lot. Scaling is a lot more complicated than just writing business.
Yeah, I hear you. We're going to get into that today. And one thing that's really interesting about your company, I guess, when you think of a construction company, you don't necessarily think of like the number one place to work.
Correct.
So to speak. But your company, I don't know, you could tell me how many years, but number one place to work in Seattle, right?
Top
in Seattle,
100 companies to work for in Seattle, in the Seattle market for the last 6 years.
Come on.
It's a big honor. Yeah.
Come on. Well, like I said, a personal friend and mentor of mine, and also, you also work a lot with just up and coming entrepreneurs, you know, helping them kind of really
love
discover
coaching, love training,
passion, all of that stuff. And you do it, free pretty much.
Man, you got to have a place where you have no agenda except to help people.
Yeah.
Hopefully those that are listening understand that the purpose of prosperity is to position yourself to benefit the most amount of people.
That's right.
And the reason I want to scale is I just like helping people.
Yeah,
and I like to help people with no agenda. That means I got my stuff covered.
Yes.
Therefore, I'm able to help you, whether it benefits me or not. I'm just motivated like you are to help a lot of people.
Let's go.
I've discovered that if I'm prospering, I can help a lot more people.
Let's go.
So let's scale.
Let's scale. Right. I mean, we've both been kind of broke and well off. And I think we been able to help a lot more people when we're not broke.
Wow, isn't that true? Now, you relate to a lot of people and empathize with a lot of people.
Of course.
Because we've been broke.
Yeah.
But I've discovered no matter how much I care about people, if I'm still broke, I can't help.
Let's go. And obviously a real estate lover, real estate investor. We're talking a little crypto.
Even here at Equity. Like I love Equity Street. I think we're in a couple of the syndications and big fan of what you're doing. I love that space and I trust it, which is cool.
Yeah, nothing like real estate. That's what we're here to talk about. Like the sign says on the wall. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can't buy happiness, but you can buy real estate. And it's similar. It's kind of the same thing. Definitely never gets old taking down a piece of real estate.
Let me say this. I still enjoy my real estate purchases. There's a lot of other purchases that I've stopped enjoying.
Yes. Yeah, I hear that. Well, man, that impressive resume, Colin. I mean, obviously, and and just you get this feeling every time I'm around you that the best is yet to come, right?
Thanks,
the biggest is out in front of you. So I'm excited to have you here. But your story, didn't start, with a $50 million a year company.
Yeah.
One question I love to ask all guests that come in the booth is kind of, 18 years ago, leading up to launching this company.
Yeah.
What were you doing before that? What did life look like? I want the audience to hear that because a lot of times I know when I was getting started in real estate, I'd see these $100 million a year people, and it was unrelatable, right?
Sure.
But what I've learned in this show, when you kind of peel it back, man, there's no secret. Most people start where everybody starts, right? So what was your story?
Well, probably the least impressive of stories. 30 years old, just went through a divorce.
Okay.
One of the toughest times in my life.
Wow.
Living on my mom's couch.
Oof.
Pretty sexy.
Yeah.
Nobody was inviting me onto their talk shows back then, Jeff. Now, I had a lot of passion. I had the same gifts, but I was just in a tough spot.
Yeah.
And so I went back to some things that I knew I was good at. And I think for the topic of growing your confidence or coming out of difficult seasons, I was in one, and I had to get back to some things I was good at. I was actually good at business. I was good at managing expectations, and taking good care of people, following through.
Yeah.
And so I got back working for a guy I knew that I trusted named Bill Busey.
Bill Busey.
One of the first guys that I ever wanted to be like.
Oh, wow.
Which is important,
Yeah.
And he was available to me, Jeff, on the other side of some tough stuff. I moved back to Seattle, Washington, and I was kind of trying to rebuild from a tricky spot.
Yeah.
The tornado had blown through my life and wrecked my little trailer park, and I was trying to rebuild. And he was an instrument, and he gave me an opportunity back at his organization. She asked me, what was I doing before we launched this company?
Right.
Honestly, I was being faithful in somebody else's company.
There you go.
I was working my butt off for Bill Busey and his son, Troy Busey, at Pacific Modular.
Wow. Let's go. Faithful with the little, huh?
Yeah.
Faithful with the little. That's
Hey, can I speak into that?
Yeah,
because
let's go.
Now that we have 60 employees right now, I feel like a lot of the people that we have working for us looked a lot like I looked when I was working for somebody else.
Okay.
That means they don't cheat. They're not trying to undercut me.
Yeah.
They're faithful. They're hardworking.
Yeah.
They're honoring. And I look back to what I looked like as an employee at 31 years old.
Sure.
I was hardworking.
Yeah.
I made Bill and Troy a ton of money.
Yeah.
And I didn't complain about it. I was honorable. I was faithful. I was learning my craft. My craft they happened to own. a commercial flooring company. Who would have thought that's what I would one day own?
Commercial flooring.
So before I started my own, I was learning my craft,
Yeah.
working for a couple of heroes of mine,
Yeah.
being faithful with what was in their hand. And honestly, before I launched out and did my own thing, this is important.
Yeah.
I really asked for their blessing. I didn't just
Interesting.
say, hey, I'm going to take what I learned and go do my own thing. I'm tired of working for the man.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I
Yeah.
was a little tired. I did feel like
Sure.
a dream and a desire to do my own thing.
Sure.
But you have to do, and you have to transition the right
Yeah.
way.
That's
and I feel
key.
like I did it the right way while I was
Yeah.
working for
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned to the right way into working for myself. So it's not as simple as I was just doing this or that, as I was
Sure.
doing this or that the right way.
Well, what would you say to the person that believes in overnight success stories?
Oh, you're my least favorite person because except if you use Jim Collins'
Okay.
definition in
Okay.
the book Good to Great.
That's right. That's a little different of a definition,
Yeah,
though.
he says the average overnight success story is about 9 years.
That's I found that to be true as well, man. Well, that is an awesome story. So, powerful company that you're running right
Thank you.
now. Really
Yeah.
West Coast region, California, Washington, Oregon, New
Yeah.
Mexico,
Mhm.
Nevada, type of thing. But before we get into the scaling and the growing part, is over the past couple of years, you've been making a big play in the real estate.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
How do we get more as quickly as we can? What do you love about that asset class? Why are you putting a fair amount of your money into that asset class?
Great question. Well, to be honest, probably the greatest frustration that I've had in being a successful business owner is we've generated a ton of revenue
Yeah.
and even been profitable.
Yeah.
But when you're just doing transaction and creating revenue and profit, that doesn't mean you're improving your net worth or you're not
Yes.
enlarging
Yes,
your
yes,
asset
yes.
value. And so I've been a bit frustrated here working our butt off building a great company,
Yeah.
but not building assets.
Right.
And so, since I got connected honestly with Fortune Builders and Equity Street, my eyes started to open
Yeah.
to the fact that we were missing some things here.
Sure,
we weren't
sure.
growing our net worth.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm attracted to real estate
Yeah.
is there's nothing that is more secure for your net worth that goes through the seasons. Even if
Yeah.
it's a downtime, it's coming back.
It's so true.
And I'm attracted to the long-term value. I just turned 51 years old.
No
Jeff,
way.
and
No way.
I know I look young. But what happens, I think, in certain seasons of life is you start looking at success differently. And,
Yeah, I'd agree with
and
that.
I really want to leave a legacy. I want to leave an impact. I want to have the capacity to do more good. And I
Yeah.
found real estate gives me a lot of
Yes.
tools, a lot of leverage, a lot of
Yeah.
creativity, not just from a tax standpoint, but
Right.
from a borrowing standpoint. I mean, it's just a huge opportunistic
It
monster to have in the hands of somebody that wants to do good.
It is. You kind of discovered the old, working for money versus money working for you.
Big time.
And that's one thing.
Even as a business owner, you could still fall into that.
Yeah, I mean, and you're doing tens of $1 million a year.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is when you're working for money, when you stop working, the money stops coming.
Wow.
The money stops coming in.
Wow. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. So that's one thing, I just to speak to the audience for a minute, as you're out there and you're, wholesaling and you're flipping properties and you close a deal and you're sitting on these large companies, we challenge all of our students, about every 2 to 3 fix and flips, get that money, get some of the profit on a long-term buy and hold. And that's really what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're
I'm
not
holding.
out there flipping properties. You're buying and holding. You're letting your money go to
Yeah.
work with some Airbnb properties, some
Yeah.
investment properties and some things like that.
Sure.
But
we like everything to be paying for itself.
oh yeah.
Everything needs to be an asset. And sometimes, the problem I used to have is I thought owning my own home was my asset, only to realize that was my biggest liability. And I think just what I love about what you're doing is it's basic education and helping people to see through the lens of assets
Sure.
versus liabilities. And we're all still waking up, and you can never wake up enough to thinking through the lens of I got to get everything working for me.
Man, I think you might have touched some nerves there when you said your primary resident is not an asset. I agree with you. But I find when this concept is introduced, it's kind of like, what are you talking about? I got this equity in my property. So simple definition of an asset is anything on a monthly basis that puts money in your pocket. Primary residence, it's good to own your own home. I see that more as an investment in your family.
Sure.
Investment. And, certainly if you own your own home.
And it certainly can appreciate, which a lot of us have experienced, the appreciation aspect, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's cash flowing.
That's right. It's not paying us every month,
that's
right?
Correct.
So we have stuff that's paying us. But definitely buy your own home too. I mean, that's a good thing. If you owned a home 2 years ago, you're very, very happy right now.
Well, I would say if you owned your own home 2 years ago, get some money out of it and then reinvest in an investment property.
Let's go, man.
Those are the things I'm doing. Is I'm trying to take every square cent I can pull out of what I own to reinvest. That's what that's the world I'm in right now. Man, that's how I'm scaling.
That's so good. And that's such an important man. You're just dropping all these nuggets, man. We think so much alike.
It's so new to me though. Yeah. Like for you, you've been teaching this for a while. For me, I'm like, I feel like I just woke up.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I just take a moment and do a little learning lessons here? So, equity in your home. If you have equity in your primary residence and investment properties, get it out. You want to think of equity in your property like if you had, say you have $100,000 in equity, you want to think of that like $100,000 in a Wells Fargo checking account, earning 1%. You like not even, I mean, I don't even know a bank that pays 1%. It's doing nothing for you. You're not keeping up inflation. So you want to strip that equity out through cash out refinances. Refi till you die is a motto you'll hear a lot around here, and get that money working for you, man. That's so good. But Colin, let's get into this. Actually, let me just get something. Let me just knock something out here really quick before we transition into scaling. If you're listening to this show right now and you've been interested in learning how to get started in real estate investing, if you're watching through Facebook, watching through YouTube, you'll see a link right below this video, fortunebuildershow.com or fortunebuildersbonus.com, and that'll get you a free ticket to a one-day training to learn how to get started building and scaling a company. So check that out if you're interested. So scaling, that I stole that definition from you to open up the show, to enlarging your competency, enlarging your capacity.
Yeah.
So keeping in mind, we have, all our listeners mostly in real estate that are looking to scale, to go from 1 property a year to 10 properties to 100. Define scaling for us, and share your thoughts. Let's get into some conversation around that.
Yeah, well, you really defined it well, or I defined it well for you.
Yeah.
And you,
yeah.
But the reality is wherever you are, there's a next level. And a lot of times we can get caught up with the fact that we want to be 7, 8 levels ahead of where we are.
Right.
But you can never scale from level 1 to level 8. You go from level 1 to level 2. And it's very simple. Level 1 to level 2 has to deal with an increased amount of capacity. In other words, if I'm going to have 1 property and go to 2 properties, I need an increased amount of money to put down on the property, or an increased amount of money to remodel the property, or an increased amount of cash, or something that is a capacity oriented thing. And then the other thing I need is a higher level of competence.
Yes.
And so to go from 1 house to 2 houses, or to go from 1 employee to 2 employees.
That's right.
I have to grow my capacity, and I have to grow my competence.
So the question is, how do we do that?
Oh, man.
And one thing we were speaking of also before the show is how you scale from level 1 to level 2. Usually is different from how you scale from level 2 to to level 3. So what are some tangible techniques that we could give the audience that's maybe they hit a ceiling and they're looking to bust through it?
I'll share a couple of big mistakes that a lot of us make when we're scaling. Is when we're getting help, let's say my primary ability to generate income that's not real estate. Because if I'm going to do more real estate, I can't stop doing the thing that is my highest producing thing.
Right.
And so a big mistake we make when we're scaling is we get away from the thing that is our number 1 producer. And we think we're going to hire somebody to come sell for us.
Right.
And so what we need to do while we're scaling is not hire somebody to come scale for us if that's our best, highest producing thing. We need to hire somebody that's going to free us to do more of what we're remarkable at.
Yes.
And honestly, Jeff, the secret to enjoying scaling is not more stuff.
Okay.
It's you and I doing more of what we love and more of what we're good at.
Yeah, yeah.
When you're starting a company, you have to do everything. You have to wear every hat.
That's right. That's right.
And, you know, that's fun for a season, but it gets tiring. You know, you got into, you know, design school because you love art. And now you started your own design company.
That's right.
And now you realize you're in payables and you're in bookkeeping and you're on the phones, you know, you're not doing art anymore. You're doing art 10% of the time. And,
exactly.
And so scaling gets me back to what pays the bills.
That's right.
And what I'm good at.
That's right.
And what I love and what recharges me. It's not worth scaling if you're not being recharged. If you're spending more time doing things you hate just for money or just for increased revenue, you're not thinking through the right lens of scaling. Good. And so I think we need to, I'll give you a perfect example, Jeff.
Okay.
Like if I'm I think sometimes the easiest way to get into real estate is to be a realtor. You know, I mean, so
that's how I started. Yeah.
Really? Okay. Yeah. And so let's say my brother's a realtor, and I think one of the greatest hindrances to him scaling was he had the fear of hiring help because I mean, come on, like you're already going from sale to sale and big commission check. You're living fat to like living skinny.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so it's difficult to take on somebody else. And so, but if you want to scale, you can't scale if you're not willing to be uncomfortable. You can't. There's no way up that's easy or comfortable. And if you think that probably the greatest myth to scaling is there's an easy way or a comfortable way. There isn't one. They don't exist.
They don't exist.
Yeah. And but I would say, and also a common mistake is we try to replace what we're good at instead of supplement what we're not good at.
Wow.
Is that simple? Is that clear? Like,
oh no, it is. You know what we teach our students all the time, Colin, is basically your highest and best use as a real estate investor is basically closing deals, finding deals, and finding money. Is really what it comes down to. Yeah. And really, you know, when you start this company as a real estate investor, you're looking to take everything else that doesn't position you for, you know, for those two, you know, activities. But I remember feeling the same way. I have a military background. I love chain of command. I love org charts. And I remember, you know, starting my business, and I had the marketing department and the financing department and acquisitions. But then you quickly realize that, all right, you are everything. You know, and it's really the key secret to success. And this is why I wanted to bring Colin on and bring yourself on is just, you know, how do we consistently fire ourselves, I think is a good way of saying it.
Great.
Yeah. So have you found that? Is that the approach that you've taken where, all right, you know, I set up this area in my company, I get it up and running, or maybe you don't, and then you're stepping away, you're plugging someone else in and just keeping, is that kind of the way you look at it as well?
It depends on what level you're at. Okay. So, I mean, the further you get into scale, the more specialized you can be.
Right.
And you can hire your competence.
That's right.
But when you're brand new, it's trickier, and you have to pick which competence you're going to hire, because you can't hire 10 people.
That's true.
When you're going from 1 people to 2 people.
Yeah.
You have to. Sometimes you're going from 1 person to a part-time assistant.
That's right.
So you need to be very specific on what you really need help with. For me, I was good at vision. I was horrible at execution. Horrible at organization. So the first scale for me was getting somebody who could organize my brain, and you know, and I could share and get everybody excited, or get myself excited was the only person I could get excited back then. But then what happens is if vision isn't met with execution and organization, it starts to wane. But when you can meet vision with execution, I needed an executor.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so the first hire I made, and I might have even got a little bit lucky, happened to be an extraordinary executor. She would actually get lit up by vision and want to go get it. I'd say, we need to go to point B. She would just get all fired up about how to get to point B. And then we would get there to point B.
Right.
And what happens is when you get from A to B, you get really excited and you start seeing C, you know? And so I think depending on where you are and you have to select where you need the most help to get from A to be,
To be.
not to Z.
Right. Exactly.
And I only have a limited budget. See, you're talking about not just competence.
Yes.
So I needed organization and execution. That was
Sure.
the competence that was lacking.
Yeah.
But my capacity was with the budget I had.
Yeah.
I could only hire somebody for $2,000 a month.
Right.
That was my first hire.
Right.
I was paralyzed by
Wow.
that hire. That was like one of the scariest
Really?
decisions. It was the first
Wow.
hire.
First hire.
Well, the
Wow.
only thing scarier than that was leaving secure income.
Okay.
That was
yeah.
the only thing scarier than hiring somebody was
Yes.
leaving
Yeah.
somebody paying me every month. Okay.
Right.
Tracking.
Yeah.
Oh man. This is real stuff though. And I think a lot of times, and why I like to stay coaching young entrepreneurs is they're still in those early stages.
Right. Right.
And those early stages are so important.
It
So let me just say, like capacity wise, if my budget's $2,000, I need to put $2,000 a month to work.
Yes.
And what is the number one thing that's going to benefit or scale or level up where I'm at with my $2,000 budget?
There you go.
And
There
I
you
got to
go.
know myself too, Jeff. I got to know what
Yeah.
I'm not good at, and I got to know what I'm good at.
Yeah, and I think the whole analogy you gave, or not analogy, but your experience of being the visionary and needing and execute, I think that's common in just
Yeah.
a lot, because entrepreneurs, I feel we just naturally see things
Yeah.
that others don't.
Right.
We walk into a dilapidated property and we see this
Yeah.
beautiful thing where most people are turned off by that. So I feel like the weakness for many entrepreneurs is the organizational side
Yeah.
and things like that, and kind of. Really the unique thing about being a real estate investor, I'm not sure how much it applies in your company, but I remember first looking at, okay, I need to grow, I need to scale. What can I take off my plate with technology first?
Sure. Oh yeah.
Right. Get
Yeah.
it's amazing,
Yeah. So many tools.
the tools that are available.
Yeah.
And then from there, all right, a virtual assistant. From there,
Sure.
an assistant and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
So really just taking that gradual approach. So any thoughts around that?
Yeah. Absolutely, Jeff. You know me, I'm a big proponent of convergence,
Yes.
and I feel like convergence is so powerful.
Yeah.
Convergence is you and I live in the most authentic version of ourselves. That means
Right.
I've mastered what I'm good at.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've also said no to the things I'm not good at.
Yes.
When you're just starting, you got to do everything, but you
Yeah.
have to work yourself out of the things you're not great at and supplement those. The second component of convergence is running in the lane you're supposed to run.
There
in.
you go.
I think all of us need to be in some level of real estate lane.
Yes.
It's just determining, am I just going to be the money guy? Am I going to be the deal finder? Am I going to be the closer? What I think we miss
Right.
is real estate is all the same, and I have to be the same person to be in real estate.
Oh,
No.
right.
There's so many things
So
that
many
you can be
different ways.
exceptional at.
Yeah.
And you want to find that thing that makes you unique and find that lane. All of us have to be in real estate. I mean, you're
Oh, yeah.
crazy if you care about
Yeah.
investing to
Yeah.
not have an aspect in real estate. But
Yeah.
for me, I'm not the deal guy. I'm not going to go and analyze a property. But I'll bet Jeff, with the way you work, I'll bet your brain loves that.
It does.
I bet you could do it all day and it feels like time didn't even go by.
Oh, it's so true.
Okay,
It's
but
true.
here's what's important about convergence is I need to know that if I start looking at charts and analyzing stuff and I fall asleep, and there's drool on my page, that doesn't mean I'm not created for real estate.
Yeah.
It just means I got to find my lane.
Yeah.
I got to find that thing that I do well.
Yeah.
And then I got to partner with somebody like a Jeff who can
Right.
analyze a great deal.
Sure.
Because you can have all the capital in the world, but if you put it in a bad deal,
Yeah.
it's a bad deal.
It's a bad deal.
But if you
That's
can
right.
take, let's say my ability is to raise capital, or my ability is to find capital within my existing business that I've been building for 16 years, and I got
Right.
money I got to work with.
Right.
Well, what a smart people do, the way they build their competence is they find somebody who's in a lane like you are, and I
Yeah.
say, hey, can you help me place my money?
Yeah.
I don't know how to analyze this deal.
Sure.
Maybe I want to learn how to analyze a deal,
Yeah.
but what if I don't? And I
Right.
think this is where this is where mistakes are made. We think
Yeah.
I have to want to analyze a deal to
Right.
be in real estate. It's not true,
Yeah, that is true.
because I can create a partnership where I have a deal analyzer and a closer
That's
and a
right.
money grabber, and I might be way more powerful in a collaborative environment. And this is how scaling happens. Scaling happens is when I learn to collaborate, which is the third component of convergence. authentic version of myself, knowing who I am, self-mastery, running in my lane, knowing what I'm good at, what I like, what I love to do, what keeps me up at night for the right reasons.
Exactly.
And then the third is doing it with people.
Yes.
Like, who are the people that make you better? Who are the people that make me better? Who are the people that I make better?
Yeah.
And when I can do business, and this is scaling. Scaling should not be more miserable.
That's right.
Scaling should actually be more effective, more productive, and hopefully more enjoyable.
Yeah.
More enjoyable because you're doing what you're good at, and I'm doing what I'm good at. And together we get synergy. 1 plus 1 is greater than 2.
That's right.
And so that's kind of the dynamics of scale that have helped me. And it helped me when I was hiring one person. And now when we hired 15 people last month, it helped us at that stage. Yeah. Okay. And so we think through the same lens.
Yeah.
So
I love it. You know, one thing you mentioned a few times is, you know, going from level 1 to level 2 or 2 to 3, you know, even going to your first hire, there's kind of like a level of fear or whatever you want to call it that you have to push through. Yeah. Right. And, just 15 people last month. Right. So there's always new levels. And, you know, I've been teaching and training real estate investors, you know, all over the country for a number of years. And probably the number one question I get, Colin, is, you know, I'm afraid. They don't ask it this way, but I'm afraid. How do I push through that fear? How do I do it anyway? So, you know, what has been, you know, maybe an effective tip or something that you live by that helps you push through fear?
Incredible. Well, I think a proper definition of fear. Okay.
Yeah. What is it to you?
Yeah. So like I think of the story of a junior high girl that's trying out for the school play. Okay. And she's afraid.
Yep.
So she asks her daddy, can I be courageous and still be afraid? And he's like, sweetheart, that's the only way to be courageous.
That's true.
And so I think sometimes we're looking for the perfect feeling. But I think anytime you're investing, it's risk. Anytime you're scaling, you're going somewhere you haven't been before. So there's always risk. And so there's a couple things that I do. I go after counsel.
Okay.
I like to get my wife's advice. Okay. And even if I'm right and she doesn't like it, I lose anyway. You know what I mean? So I kind of like,
smart man.
But I also go to experts. Okay. Cause I'm a passionate guy. Yeah. And I'll see somebody making money in crypto and I want to go make money in crypto. Well, guess what? 90% of the people that jump in there lose money in the first 90 days. That's true. Not because it's a bad investment, because they didn't have counsel. Yeah. And so I think to deal with fear is number one, get great counsel. Okay. Counsel around timing, counsel around who to go into business with, counsel around who to invest with. Yeah. That's why I like what you guys are doing, is I feel like you guys give good coaching. All right. The next thing is, I think it's a thing I teach my son, who's an athlete, a competitive soccer player. Your best is enough, but your best is required. And so my definition of success is not always, did I win or lose? Did I give my best? Got it. Did I go all in? And so if you marry those two, good coaching, good counsel, get good people around you that have that are real experts in the space, with my best. Yeah. And listen, if I gave my best and it didn't work, I'm okay with that. I really am. I really am. That. And I feel like it's a safety net. But listen, I wish I could tell you, Jeff, every endeavor we've done at Sustainable has worked. Every investment has, I'm just telling you.
Success hasn't been like smooth sailing.
Dude, and I'm telling you what happens when you start winning. Yeah. You start thinking, no matter what I do. Another Jim Collins book on how the mighty fall. They think because I've tasted success here, that means as soon as I go in here, it translates. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
That's pride. That's hubris pride, he calls it. And it means that I think that I'm above adversity. Yeah. And the way to stay above adversity is counsel and hard work. But the reality is I've gone into things that I thought for sure were winners, and they weren't.
Yeah, me too.
And you just got to pick yourself up. One of the questions we ask ourselves all the time, knowing what I know today, would I still hire this person? Would I still be in this investment? And the challenge is we're so vested in the person. The guy's been working for us for 12 months. We've already paid him $200,000. You feel like I can't get out of this now. But the reality is, if I can ask this question, knowing what I know today, would I still make this hire? Would I still make this investment? And if the answer is no, we immediately pull out. And I think there's a difference between going into something that works or something that doesn't work and then damage control. Damage control is I realize I made a bad mistake.
Yeah.
I need to get out of this as quick as I can. And I think these are things that if I know, it's almost like an investor. If I know I'm planning on the stock growing, if it doesn't, I've almost built in a little bit of a safety valve. So even if I lose, I'm not going to lose everything.
Got it.
And I think you got to build around fear a little bit and be smart around it. Does that help? Does
Dude,
that make sense a little bit?
I mean, no, I love it, man. And I mean, I really would say the same thing. It's kind of like, it speaks to, I mean, the more riskier something is, the more fear there is associated. But, I've kind of learned in any area of life, the higher the education, the lower the risk. Yeah. The lower the education, the higher the risk. And then when you couple that with coaching, like you said, somebody that is basically where you want to go. To me, that's the magic formula right there. Yeah. So,
can I give an example?
Sure.
This is like real life. On the way here.
Okay.
On a phone call with my partner. Today.
Okay.
We have a pretty big tax bill coming up. Gotcha. 7-figure tax bill.
Let's go.
It's going to be due sometime in April.
Okay.
We have the cash. We're talking around what could we do with $1 million cash or however much this is for the next 4 months.
Come on.
How much? Now we're a little bit risk averse because we're going to have to pay the bill.
Exactly.
But at the same time, what can I do with $1 million cash for 3 months? Because what if I could compound it or get 20% out of it or 10% out of it? And, and so this is a decision where, number one, it's not just my money. I have a partner. I'm a 70% principal owner. My partner's a 30% owner. So when you're making risk decisions, you need to make sure all the parties that will be affected by the win or the loss have a say in the matter.
There you go. Right.
Make sure you partner with people.
Yeah.
That are, if you're a risk person, every race car needs a brake pedal and a gas pedal. I'm a gas pedal guy.
Right.
I like somebody who will put the brakes on if I'm getting crazy or ambitious.
There you go.
Or find some crazy return.
Sure.
I want somebody that I can bounce ideas back. But we're going to move forward with some investing around this tax money.
Okay.
But it is risky.
Yeah.
And so you see what I mean, though? How we're making a tricky decision where there's a bit of fear in there.
Yeah.
But we think by analyzing it through counsel, and getting the parties that matter involved, that this is a decision we're going to go forward with. But that's just an example of how you deal with fear.
Yeah, 100%. Man, we could literally spend the whole show on this, but I want to touch on one other topic that it really is impressive to me that a construction company is voted in the top 100 places to work year over year over year. So to me, that speaks to the culture you've created in the company, the atmosphere you've created, just basically how you're treating your employees. And as real estate investors, you could run this company with 1-2 employees. You could run it with 15-20 employees, like CT Homes does. But what are the keys to building and creating a great team and keeping them happy?
Incredible.
Yeah, and getting the most out of them.
So, it's so funny because we're at all these award banquets. We actually got tired of going to the award banquets. We just like the award. And we actually don't even like the award. We like the fact that we have the culture.
Yeah.
Because when you're in an award-winning culture, that alone is the reward.
Oh, wow.
Because you're going to work with people you love, you're invigorated, and there's a couple things we do. We unapologetically recruit people to do hard work. And we don't apologize that the job's difficult.
Yeah.
And we don't apologize that it's not easy and that not anybody could do it.
Yeah.
We're not offering, ping pong tables and beer kegs and cool environments and collaborative whiteboards. We're basically offering people the hardest job they can imagine. But we're also creating a team-oriented culture where you won't be alone.
Yep.
And you're going to exceed your own expectations in terms of what you can actually accomplish in this environment.
Amazing.
You will be shocked at how much winning you experience in a difficult environment.
That is so true. So unapologetically, this is
hard. A
right?
project manager who deals with a bipolar superintendent on a project that's dealing with a temporary certificate of occupancy and is an absolute crazed lunatic will be calling you regularly for 1 month of the year this year, and he will not make sense, but you're going to have to figure out things in the middle of a storm, and it's not going to be fun, but you're going to win at it, and you're going to exceed expectations and earn trust. I mean, that's like crazy stuff.
Wow. So what do you, I mean, what type of rhythms, what type of, meeting rhythms? I mean, what are you doing strategically to pull the most out of your people?
Number one, hiring.
Hiring. Okay.
No matter how many people you're hiring, never make a bad hire.
Never make a bad hire.
Never, ever.
How do you avoid making a bad hire?
Slow.
Hire slow.
So even if you know that you know that you know that this is the person for your organization, if you're going to fit them into the team, the team needs to make the decision. So you create what we call them the gauntlet. So no matter what the hire is, we'll pull people from our organization to have a say in the matter. And we never tell them, this is what we're doing, put your blessing on it. We say, hey, I feel like I really like this guy, even if I love him and it's done deal. I really like this guy, but I need your input. Can you interview him for me? Can you spend some time and let me know what you think? Think of the ownership you create in somebody who's a non-owner because they had buy-in. They were able to contribute to the decision. And then sometimes you'll get feedback like, actually, not only that, but I could see this and that. And so by opening it up to people's opinion, you get more than two eyes, more than two minds. And then you get people who, when they join and there's a challenge, and there's always a challenge. Come on. You can't ever bring somebody into your organization and it's just perfect. But if they had a buy-in on hiring the person, they put their mark of approval on them. Guess what? They're rooting for them. They're helping them. But if you just force somebody and say they're working with you, they're in your department now, you're like you've put people in a position where they're actually automatically defensive. And so we work in the psychology of team orientation and always raising leaders. We're never telling people what to do. We're always encouraging people to make decisions for themselves and for the organization.
That is so good.
This is a scaling topic. I'll tell you, if you need to make every decision in your organization, you're a huge limitation.
Amazing.
We don't take responsibility. We give it. We're always looking to give responsibility to our team. And what we found is people, if they own their job, they love their job.
That you're empowering it.
It's empowering.
No, it is. It is. And obviously, one of the mindsets I see a lot, I'm sure you see it as well, and like, someone looking to start a business, is that mindset. If you want it done right, you do it yourself, right?
We all struggle with that.
So how do you push past that as a business owner?
And that was the hardest thing for me. Because I was a meticulous servicer and I liked profit. So I hate profit leaks. So if I know I could bring the job in at a 35% gross profit margin and somebody else is going to let profit slip, man, I just feel like I can't let that go. But sometimes when you're scaling, you actually have to trust somebody to do something you probably for the season are better at, even if it fails. And this is excruciating stuff. Excruciating stuff. And so I think you gotta be willing to deal with a project that maybe its service level dips for a season.
Sure.
So that somebody can learn how to service. Because if you got to go around and clean up after number one, you're going to be miserable. You're not really scalable.
Exactly.
In fact, what I've found, people that are extraordinary scalers scale themselves out of work. It's
so true. It's so true. What drives this whole business on the real estate side is your marketing.
Wow.
And we deal with students all the time that they're working to get the marketing set up. And then they get a deal, then they stop doing everything that in the marketing department that got them the deal, get hung up on this deal. So really, I just feel like, a lot of you even listening today are probably in that spot just because I see that, over and over and over again. So, translate what Colin's saying into, maybe you've been the one in your business, taking all the seller lead calls, determining motivation, scheduling the appointments. But the sooner you pass that on, the sooner you're putting yourself in that lane, your highest and best use that we talked about, closing deals and finding money in this case. in this case. What else do you do just to create a
Culture.
Culture? Yeah.
Okay, so hiring's everything. Firing.
Fast or slow?
Oh, immediate.
Immediate.
I asked that question earlier. Knowing what I know today, would I still make this hire? If the answer is no, I have to move. Because here's what's happening. You're talking about culture.
Yeah.
Anytime you tolerate somebody who doesn't belong in your culture, you're sending a message to the rest of the team that they're not valuable. You're always sending messages. If you tolerate people that don't carry the weight, and then there's somebody in the organization that's carrying 80% of the weight, and there's 3 other people that are just kind of tagging along, looking like they're doing stuff, you're killing the morale of the producer.
I never looked at it that way. That's powerful.
We reward the producer all the time. The squeaky wheel never gets oil. The productive wheel gets oil. If you can squeak all you want if you're producing, if you're not producing, you're replaced. Unapologetic culture of productivity. Unapologetic. We are in this business to be successful. If you're on this team, you get used to winning. You're going to win here. It's going to be hard here. But we do not tolerate average. I mean, literally, and it's not me driving it anymore. You know, it's getting back to that Jim Collins. Jim Collins model, good to great. He says, hire 8 people to do the work of 10 people and pay them like 9 people. I mean, and then what happens is when you create a culture of diligence and ownership, the team will chase low producers out.
Right.
And so that's one thing. The other thing, Jeff, is we believe that people have gifts. So if if you put somebody who's good at analysis in sales, they might hate their job.
Right.
So we try to get not only the right people on the bus, but in the right seat. And we do a lot of testing. We love Strength Finders 2.0. That's my favorite testing. But there's a lot of great tests out there.
Sure.
I like Strength Finders because it celebrates the unique gifts of the person. And I feel like you get a far better return on investment when you're working in your strengths.
Amazing.
When I go to work and I know that I'm contributing, I know that I'm adding value. I know that I'm doing something I'm good at. It makes it more than money. Here's the other thing. We don't pay more than the industry.
Okay.
But we give opportunity to be rewarded based on productivity.
There you go.
If that's your motivation. We have people that are not motivated by incentives.
Right.
So why do I put everybody in an incentive program if somebody's not motivated by incentives? You have to find what drives people. If you want to build culture, people are individuals. So you have organizational things that are similar, but you have different ways to motivate and inspire and bring security to different people's wiring. And we master this. This is what we're good at. But I'll say this, doing that for 10 people is a lot easier than doing it for 20. And so what you find is you scale from 10 to 20, all of a sudden you find your morale dips a little because the system isn't in place to be able to manage that many people. So now you got to repair the system.
Right.
Okay, great book if you're interested in scaling is Dr. Sam Chan. Bigger, Faster Leadership.
Bigger, Faster Leadership.
Unbelievable if you're into organizational scale.
You know, I haven't read that one yet.
He talks through the Panama Canal.
Okay.
And how the Panama Canal was the #1 source of shipping to get to the West Coast, and vice versa. But the size and speed of business outgrew the size of the canal.
Wow.
The ships were growing at 10% a year in size.
Okay.
And so they no longer fit through the canal. So they had to rebuild the Panama Canal
to accommodate
the size and speed of business. That book is one of the greatest books if you're interested or in the middle of scaling and wondering, what the heck am I doing?
Amazing, man. Amazing, man. I wish we could go all day, man, but I'm going to get you out of here on this question. One thing you said earlier that struck me when you're talking about hiring your first assistant, you said it was one of the scariest things you've ever done, taking that step. The only thing scarier was walking away from a fixed income, to pursue your dream. And man, that is, what would you say to the person listening right now that knows they're called to more, that knows there's something bigger out there than the paycheck, the paycheck they're getting? But man, what advice to that person to take that leap of faith, start that real estate investment company, start whatever dream is in their heart?
My goodness. Well, timing is key. I'm going to say that. There's a time to work for somebody else. And some of the greatest competence we will ever get is not in school. Yeah. It's in the school of working for somebody. And if you need an education in real estate, work for someone in real estate. Get around somebody who's good. So I'm assuming you've got the experience. You're in a position where you could take a leap, okay, and you have a little bit of competency in the bank. In fact, they say, if you go to the SBA website, which of course we can trust, but they actually do give some good advice there. They say the secret to successful new ventures is not capital. Okay. It's competence.
There you go. There you go.
And so I'm assuming you're talking to somebody who has enough competence to where they're leaving security for something they actually could perform in. But they're just I'm just qualifying the question because I don't want people leaving security if they're not ready.
Exactly. No, that's key. That's key.
Because there's a reason why the majority of new businesses fail. Most of it's related to competence. Most of it is. Okay. So I'm assuming you got a little bit of skill and you just feel like it's time. I'm assuming you've ran it by your personal board of directors, which starts usually with your wife. But if you're single out there, find somebody that will tell you the truth and say, what do you think? Okay. And get people around you. So I'm trying to create a secure environment to make a great leap decision. But then the leap is going to come, Jeff. And so let's just look at life. If you want to look at the majority of people who have regrets, like you get to the end of your life, the regrets are generally around risks that I never took. And so if you think security is going to be the thing that keeps you happy, now there are people wired for that. But if you know who you are, if you're not happy in security, even me, look at me on my couch at 30 years old. Even the failure of that season was the catalyst for growth.
Amazing.
And I'm glad I took a risk, even if it landed me on my mom's couch, because it was the wake-up call for me to finally be open to the instruction I needed to start to step into real success. And honestly, real success came on the other side of actual failure, disappointing failure. And so I don't know, man. I think if you're there, I think you got to take a risk.
Such wisdom, man. Such good advice, man. Come a long way since your mama's couch.
Hey, man, 20 years. But Jim Collins says the average overnight success stories.
That's right, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing the wisdom, man. We're definitely going to have to get you back in here, man. So much more to talk about, but so little time. But I appreciate you, brother.
Oh, what an honor,
appreciate
man.
you having here. Appreciate you guys tuning in this week, as always. And here at Fortune Builders, we're on a mission, as I always say, to empower your purpose through financial education. So if you know anybody that could benefit from what you heard today, share it. We want to get as many people building that financial education, just being able to live life on their own terms. So definitely, follow us, share us, keep tuning in, and keep giving us feedback. One of the reasons I wanted to bring Colin on is I got a lot of feedback. Well, who are some of your personal mentors? Who are some of the people that you go to, just for business advice? So anyways, appreciate you guys. See you next week on the Fortune Builders Real Estate Investing Show.